Since Vyse was released, we've been collecting the best plays and setups executed in higher ranks. As a new agent, it can be difficult to perform confidently on every map. So we're bringing you the best setups to help you stand out on each competitive map, including Pearl and Split, which will enter the rotation in a few days. To start, we have Sunset. In this defensive area, we can execute an aggressive flash by placing it on the upper window. It's the typical play with flash agents that works well when done occasionally. And this flash spot makes it quite difficult to avoid in time. To defend the site, we have several flash options. By jumping, we can place one on the camera above. We can play from the generator and place a wall on the site entrance. When it activates, we trigger the flash and push on contact. Additionally, it also blinds elbow, allowing you to do the same move. If you notice they start avoiding this flash, you can place it on the edge of the boxes, and once they enter the site, it will blind them just the same. And if you prefer to play more passively and let them enter the site, these vines are spectacular for quickly retaking control. Just look at how much space they cover. While you can place the wall on the site entrance, it's also very useful to place it at mid, so you don't have to worry about covering your back if more players are needed on B. Some players have used this wall at market to relieve defenders at Boba from worrying about the stairs. To finish with Sunset, here's a quick setup for B. If you're not placing the wall at market, set it directly at the main site entrance. The flash should be placed on this palm tree to cover both market and main, but if you want a more aggressive flash that blinds inside main, keep it simple, and just place it on the wall and you're good to go. For the vines, place one here and another toward default to make it extremely annoying for attackers. As a bonus, when attacking through mid, you can climb onto this roof and place the flash here in these flower pots to try and eliminate anyone peeking from mid or market. The next map we'll look at is Abyss. We start on the A side by placing the flash on this back wall and jumping. We place the wall at the entrance to main, but further inside the site. If they try to bait it, they'll be much more exposed. And we'll place the vines at default and on the bridge. We'll play at the wall contact from the back site. We can push out from the bridge side, triggering the flash to eliminate anyone, making it extremely hard for them to avoid us. Alternatively, we can try to eliminate the planter at default by activating the flash at the same time. As you can see, it's a flash that blinds you no matter where you are, unless you're positioned in the backside, so warn your teammates. Next, we have the setup for B. We'll place the flash in this light by jumping onto the boxes. We can place the wall at the main site entrance along with this vine and another on the opposite side. Or we can use the wall here. If an enemy jumps onto the site followed by another, the second one will hit the wall and fall into the void. The strategy is to play from backside, pushing out on the wall contact, activating the flash, or doing so when you hear an enemy jumping or walking. Next, we have Ascent. And we'll start with the same flashes on the A site. From this corner, you can place a flash on the rooftop, which, as you can see, blinds both main, garden, and even generator. Then we have this flash from garden, perfect for a retake. We climb onto the box and aim high to place the flash up here. It can practically blind the entire site, main, and even heaven. Now for a couple of more aggressive flashes. This one on stairs is really useful if you're playing from the site boxes, pushing out on a wall contact or footsteps. And this other one is much more aggressive, can be placed on this lamppost to blind and attempt to eliminate the attackers from main at the start of the round. It's quite interesting to combine with other agents like Breach, Brimstone, or Sova, for example. To finish with the site, 4 very efficient vines would be these. From heaven, aim at this point in the wall and throw it so it falls onto generator. Then, one can go to the garden exit, or perhaps on the boxes or at the main entrance. As you can see, you can cover a lot of space with any of these options, although if you place the wall on main, the closer vines will be the most useful. You can also place it in garden or at default to make planting more difficult. Next, on the B site, we have several setup options. You've seen this combo with Killjoy, but besides that setup, which is also good, we're going to give you more options. You can place the wall here, combining it with these 2 vines. But in my opinion, this flash is the best option for this site. You can use it to cover both main and market, or when they're about to jump onto site. Combined with the vines, it's quite dangerous for the enemies. A riskier and less common setup is the following. Place the flash up here, which you can set from market. Place the wall up here in front before the boat, and the vines here and inside. The key to this setup is to make sure they come in, risking getting shot. What you want is for them to come after you. Once they pass main, activate the flash, and in the panic, someone will most likely push far enough for them to be caught in the wall, allowing you to trap them with the vines and easily eliminate them. A simpler and more defensive setup would be playing from rats. Placing the wall right here and using the vines to trap them when they try to jump in. You can place the flash here and we'll play everything off the wall contact, Killjoy style. By the way, for attacking, if you stand in this corner, you can see these reference points. The first one is to launch a vine towards stairs, and the second one to launch towards market. Try them out and let us know in the comments. Now, let's move on to Vine. We'll start with the B site. For the flash, we'll use this one here, jumping over tube. We'll place this one under hookah and another at the entrance from long, the latter to play off the wall. We'll position ourselves behind tube and push out when we hear people jumping from hookah, or when the wall activates. At those moments, we'll blind them and entangle them. As you can see, the flash is extremely difficult to avoid from any position. In the case of A site, there aren't many options to choose from. Vyse isn't as strong here, but we can still make the most of it. I recommend placing the flash here from heaven, trying to get as close to the corner as possible. We'll place the wall in showers and the vines around default. The best way to play this is by pivoting around the boxes, activating the flash when the wall makes contact or when they try to plant, stopping them from the vines. In the case of Haven, we have more possibilities. C-site can be really fun with this setup. Without a doubt, we'll place the flash on this rooftop, jumping from the wooden platform. The wall goes directly at the long entrance, with one vine on each side. This whole combo is deadly. As soon as the wall activates, you can throw all your abilities at the poor soul who crossed it, and it's almost impossible not to take someone down. On A site, we have fewer options, but we can still make some aggressive plays on long. By positioning ourselves on top of the default boxes, we can place the flash up here. When the barriers drop, we'll place the wall in front of the blocks on long. We'll flash and push out the wall's contact. However, if you don't want to place the wall there and prefer to play further back or on short, we can make other aggressive moves by placing the flash behind the concrete blocks. That way, as soon as you hear footsteps or estimate that someone is peeking at the start of the round, you can blind them unexpectedly. As for the vines, there's more freedom in placement, but personally, I find them more useful in these two spots on short and long. For B, there's one particularly effective setup. The wall goes directly at the entrance with the vines on both sides in front of the wall and the flash here, as most people tend to go to the left on site. As usual, we'll play from one side or the other of back site, waiting for the wall's contact, then activating the flash of the vines. And now we move on to the highly anticipated Pearl. We haven't seen much of this map yet, but we have a few things that could be useful for when it returns to competitive. For B, we have two possible walls on main. One of them would be aiming at this exact spot, diagonally. It's a wall that leaves them really exposed and a bottleneck if they pass through. The only downside would be this gap where they can slip through, but nothing a grenade, molly, or something like that can't fix. With this wall, a vine here would work really well, covering all of stairs. The second wall would be placed just after the stairs, aiming at this corner. By placing the vines at these points, you'll ensure that no one escapes after passing through. The space is much larger, but they'll be exposed to more angles. For the flash, in either case, it would be placed on this streetlight, able to blind absolutely the entire site. For mid, we can make a pretty interesting aggressive play with this flash, placed high up in a difficult to avoid spot, perfectly catching them off guard. For A site, I dare say this setup is a must try. Place the flash up here, jumping from heaven. The vines should go on top of the boxes where the plant usually happens. And I think the wall is incredible in this spot. You can play on the wall's contact with the flash, then retreat a bit and play the retake when they go to plant, using the vines and the flash. Finally, we move on to the second map returning to rotation, Split. For A site, place the flash up here to catch all of main and heaven. But here's something interesting. By placing the wall on the slope at the entrance, any enemy who tries to bait it, or a second enemy that may accidentally jump into the lower part, gives us an improvised one way to take them down. In a good scenario, you could get more than one kill. For the vines, you don't need to get too creative. For the ramp area, the same thing happens with the wall. By placing it this way, we can create a gap where we can see enemies beyond the ramp without them seeing us, and if we eliminate the enemy that passes the wall or gets baited, we gain an advantage. For that, placing the vines in this spot would be ideal, and the flash would be well positioned in this area. For mid, we can cover it with this simple wall and a flash in this area to blind any attacker peeking into the zone without issue. Lastly, we have B site. We'll place this wall at the entrance and the vines just like the typical Killjoy setup. And I'm sure you know about Cypher's camera that people usually place up here. That's exactly where our flash will go, capable of blinding a large part of the site and heaven. This setup allows us to play either on the wall's contact as usual or more passively, waiting for them to be fully inside, tangled in vines, and blinded. It's up to you. And that's all for now. As we discover more plays, we'll post them on our social media for you to save. If you have any other interesting setups, feel free to explain them in the comments. We'll be reading and replying to them. As always, leave a lovely like and we'll see you in the next video.